N says, it's like when I fight a grappler, I have to learn an entirely new game of how not to die in 20 seconds. And you do. But the important thing about that, Adam White, is that that's actually true about almost every character and everyone you fight. It just so happens that what you're using is good enough to win for now. But there are certain, like I always tell the story, when I fight a Ryu, round one, first thing I do is backdash. Almost always backdash, because I want to see if the Ryu chases me or walks backwards, right? And if I fight every Ryu like they're all fireball chucking, zoners, and then I've run into a Ryu who's absolutely insane, and there are so many of these who just walk up and sweep and donkey kick and tatsu like at a moment's notice all day, like you're going to die in 20 seconds. But now you have to change your whole game plan to fight offensive Ryu from what you normally did against the Ryu, because you've only fought that kind of Ryu. So it happens there too, right? That's the fabled kangaroos. Yes, the Ryus who just won't stop jumping. Yeah, and that's the thing, right? But again, the reason why Zangief forcing you to play a different style to beat him isn't a problem is because that is the essence of fighting games. Everybody you fight, you should be changing how you play in order to fight them. If you are always fighting a character by fighting the character, you will always be stuck at platinum or lower or diamond, or at the bronze levels, the gold levels and silvers and stuff like that. Once you start learning how to fight the person, you have to start with how to fight the character at the very beginning, because you're like, I've never fought this Ryu before, so I'm just gonna try this. And you try this, and then you find out it's wrong, and so then you start adjusting your gameplay as you go. But you need to have so many branches in order to get to that point, because everyone you fight is gonna play very different. Like I said, the problem is that grapplers do a lot of damage with the SPD, and a lot of people won't change their game plan, so they feel worse than everybody else because you die really, really fast. But again, it's not different than any other character. If you're fighting a Guile and he's just sitting there chucking booms, you're like, how do I get in on this booms? So when you fight Zangief, you're like, how do I never let him get me in an SPD mix-up? How do I make sure of this? And that's how your mindset goes. And so, like I said, you have to divert your attention. Does this Zangief like to knee? Does he like to do the armored punch? Does he like to jump a lot? If he likes to jump a lot, keep your mind on an anti-air. If he likes to knee, just be happy trigger finger on a fast mid button that can hit that knee. If he likes the armor, get ready for the drive impact button. These are the things that you have to do when you fight against Zangief. You have to figure out how they want to play. And yes, it's going to force you to change the way that you normally play. But again, once you get to the highest level, you're literally doing that every single match, because everyone's going to use a character differently. If you're fighting a character one style because it's that character every time, you're going to limit your growth. Because that's why I always say fighting games are a two-player game. You're fighting another human being who's going to make their own good and bad decisions, and you're going to have to adjust, and some of them are going to be crazy. I fought a Guile online that never blocked and never threw a sonic boom. Like, it was the weirdest thing. Like, I don't know if you guys remember, I was playing, I was like, why is this Guile so offensive? Why is this Guile never? And I was like, I don't know how to fight this, it's tough. But yes. So let me address the thing over here. So, so what Forrest says is figuring out that adjustment can be hard though. Like if there isn't anyone there to coach you. And yes, that is the biggest folly of fighting games, and why I have suggested the group ranked mode, and why I loved my experience on the Sajam Slam, etc., etc. Fighting games have always been social. They've always been social, and it's so much better than sitting there trying to learn all this shit yourself, because it is very, very, very hard to learn a lot of this stuff yourself. It is super hard to learn a lot of this yourself. But the thing that should always push you forward, and this is another one of my mentality things. the thing that always should push you forward is that other people using the exact same character as you are not having trouble with that matchup. So it's not the character, it's not the other character, it's the decisions being made. Now, the problem is a lot of people are just going to say, well, I suck, right? But that's not true. The way fighting games works is there's answers to everything. If there's no answer to something, then everybody would be abusing that all the time. You would see it in tournaments all day. You would see it online all day. If one thing doesn't have an answer, then it will proliferate and everybody uses it. But because not everybody uses it all the time, what that means is that there's some weakness to this move. And what that should do then is spur your curiosity and jump into training mode and try to figure out what the weakness of this move is. Now, there are certain situations that are true mix-ups and it's a guess, but if you lab what the guesses actually are, then you have the ability to know what to expect and what to guess back and how to fight it, etc., etc. But in general, there's a give and take between playing and then training mode and then playing and then training mode. And that is the right path to go. And again, it is very hard, like Forrest says in the chat. It's very, very hard, right? It's almost like just having someone say, just get good, right? It's almost just as helpful as that. But again, having the knowledge that other people out there can defeat the thing that you're losing to means that you can defeat the thing you're losing to. Even if you feel like you can't have the execution to do it, even if you don't know if you have the reactions to do it, the key is that you know that there is a solution. And you know what? If you know that there is a solution, if nobody's there to tell you what the solution is, you have an ability to research it and train and find out and try to figure out the solution. And again, the biggest strength of learning fighting games will always be learning how to learn. Learning how to learn is the ultimate power in a fighting game. The better you learn how to learn, the better you will become at fighting games. The greatest strength is knowing how to research situations and knowing how to approach a situation. And that will take you farther than anything. The people who get good at fighting games really fast are the ones who've already learned very well how to learn. That's how they get good so fast. Because as soon as they get hit by something, Snake Eyes is the best example of this. I always tell the story. I told it at DreamHack Dallas on commentary that every time I watch him play, he gets hit by something he's never seen before. And he's like, this character can do that? What? Like, wait, how can he do that? And then he'll go after the match and test it. He'll run into that guy again and then just destroy them. Right? Or sometimes he doesn't even need to go to training mode. Somebody be like, yeah, it's this. And he's like, and then he just knows the game well enough to go, okay, well, if that's the case, that's similar to this situation, which means I should be able to do this and that. And then he just makes the adjustment and then the guy just never hits him with that ever again. Right? It's just like learning to learn is so powerful in fighting games. And that's one of the things, the reason why I went on this is because when you fight against the grappler, right, people are telling you that grapplers are weak, that Zangief was weak in season 1. And if you're dying to Zangief, and especially if you hear Blanca has a winning matchup against Zangief and your Blanca's dying to Zangief all day, you just have to think to yourself, well, somebody else can do this. So maybe then I have to try to figure something out. And that kind of mindset, that exploratory mindset, the ability to want to discover, to want to figure things out. And again, if you're lazy, a lot of people are. I'm not criticizing it. I'm lazy as fuck, right? If you don't know how to beat something or you don't know how to learn very easily, just jump into a stream and ask somebody. Find the people who are willing to help. You can jump into twitch.tv/jchens or anytime I'm streaming and ask me any of these questions. A Zaffarino will help you. If Javits is streaming, Automatic is another great one. Just go in and ask, hey, I'm this player. I'm a Blanca player. And Zangief, he's supposed to beat Zangief, but I can't beat Zangief. What am I doing wrong? And depending on the person, they may help you. Some may require payment. Who knows? But you can find answers in other places, honestly, which is very, very helpful, honestly. A little Akiba Game says, we would have killed for resources like YouTube and the replay archive back in the early to mid 90s. They're incredible resources and so many players sleep on them. Oh yeah, that's another one. That's another one. So again, in Street Fighter 6, every time you leave ranked, if you go to CFN replays, the first tab they send you to is recommended replays, and almost always are full of replays of the last matchup that you played with the character that you use winning. Almost always. Almost always. And at high levels too. And at high levels. So if you are losing to this character, if you're Blanca and you can't beat Zangief, then jump out, go to the replays, take a look at the recommended replays. Even if you've gone past that, you can literally go pick Blanca versus Zangief, make sure it's only master level or diamond level, show me the replays. There's a lot of powerful tools out there that can help you with this, honestly. There's a lot of ways to learn. Yeah, it's very useful. They do a lot of good stuff there. So recently, I did my first custom room session with some Discord people. Having someone to ask for feedback immediately felt super helpful. It's so good. And I know that's hard because not a lot of people can find friends to talk to and stuff like that. I want to try to turn the Chenzor Dynasty Discord into a better hub. I've just been lazy and ADHD and all that stuff, and I'm terrible. I'm an awful human being, but like I need to do better at that. So Super Combo says, someone put a document together using psychology terms and how to apply that understanding and learning concepts to help get better at fighting games. Send me that, Super Combo, if you can actually find that. I really, really want to find that. Yeah, learning, the best way to learn is definitely to teach. But teaching is the best way to prove that you've learned. is the best way to prove that you learned, because if you don't know, you can't teach, which is really hard. Oh, okay, thank you, Super Combo. You guys in normal countries don't understand what a privilege it is just to have other people to play against in any other form. Oh no, absolutely, I absolutely know. I don't understand it because I don't have to deal with it, but I totally know that a lot of other places have a lot of trouble with that. Is that I've heard like some people in certain like areas in Africa and stuff like that literally just can't get any matches. Like they just can't. Even with the expanded search option now, they still can't get a lot of matches out there. And you know, I have said like Capcom needs to add more servers in Africa regions and stuff like that. So absolutely, yeah, there is a lot of problems with that. And if you don't have that access to Discord and ranked and all that stuff like that, it is very hard. It is very hard. Your only hope is to find maybe somebody local that you can play with. Again, it only takes one other person. It only takes one other person, and you just have to make sure the both of you are willing to tell each other how you're beating them. You always fall for this. Stop doing this. I'm always doing this as a bait. As long as you keep telling each other why you're beating them, you both can rise to huge levels. We've seen it way too many times. Way too many times. Is the issue in those regions lack of servers or lack of players? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, John the Automaton, is that they don't have the servers, so it takes longer for them to get matches, and it's harder for them to find matches, so less people play it. And then that makes it even harder to find matches, which means less people play it. It's what happens to almost every other fighting game that isn't MK, Tekken, or Street Fighter. Right? That's why we have the term Discord fighters, because every fighting game out there eventually becomes a Discord fighter because nobody's actually playing because they couldn't find anybody, which makes it harder to find people, which makes it so more people don't play, etc., etc. Let's see here. Really sucks when you got to start using Discord, in my opinion, but you got to do. Dude, tell me about it. I hate Discord. I'm the worst at being a Discord fighter. One of my New Year's resolutions was be better at Discord fighting, and I just haven't done it. Like, I can't do it. I'm such an introvert that I hate talking to other people. I hate bugging people. It always feels like every time I talk to someone, I'm bugging them, and it's really annoying. So yeah, it's tough. Guilty Gear has a big player base, but again, the lobbies are all messed up. and they never really fixed a lot of the hacker problems. And so a lot of people just still play, even though there's a big base out there, there's still a largely Discord because the online is a little borked right now, unfortunately. What are your thoughts on how dominant Zhen was over Mena? Again, like whoa, did you guys hear that? Yeah, Astraloon. You know what? I'm gonna do it. God, guys, just stay on me, dude. Stay on me. Yell at me all the time about making a Discord server for to modify the the Chenzor Dynasty Discord, because I just want to basically turn it into the as big of a matchmaking Discord as possible. Now, Sejam already has the Hoop Squad out there. He has some there as well, but I need to take a look at what Sejam does with his, and that way I can actually see if I can try to find ways to make it a little better, though. Zhen versus Mena, I think it's Zhen, honestly. I just really think it's Zhen. I have said that Zhen is, I feel like he has this troll part of him. I feel like he has this very disrespectful side to him. And it's very similar to what Mena does. And so I feel like it's just a strange matchup where, you know, it's like a human mirror match almost, kind of, in a way. And so it's harder for Mena to mold Zhen into what he wants his opponent to do. Eris calls Zhen the Riddler? Yeah, that would be a good idea. I should put the first attack videos on the Discord for sure. I do have a Discord server already, DM151. I have a Chenzor Dynasty one. I also have an Ultra Chen TV one, but I'm planning to shutter the Ultra Chen one and just turn it all into the Chenzor Dynasty one, based on the fact that more people are in the Chenzor one than the Ultra Chen one. Because I don't do anything with, I don't need two of them. I just don't need two of them. But also too, I mean, I think Mena does have a small weak spot against DJ. So he'll learn that matchup at some point in time. I wouldn't worry too much about Mena. And you could see it on Twitter already. Mena losing to Zhen is just like lit such a fire under Mena's ass. Like he's going to study the F out of DJ. So don't worry. It's not going to be a consistent thing, honestly. That's right, he did lose the Fudo. He did, yeah. Every fighter, every character, every player you run up against, you always are going to start at a beginning spot. And your beginning spot is who the character is, or if you fought them before. If you fought them before, you already know where to jump into the giant tree. But if you are fighting someone you don't know, you basically have one tree for every character, and then you go and start at the trunk of that tree. And the first thing you do is play against that character. And then they do something that's pretty unique, or, you know, that gives you a little bit of information. And now you go down either the offensive style or the defensive style tree. You go down that path, and then you find out this guy likes to tick throw, so you go down the tick throw path. You find out this guy likes to shimmy all the time. This guy always presses buttons on wake up, so you go down this path. And eventually it starts to, like 21 questions its way to, this guy is a masher. This guy's a masher, or this guy doesn't tech throws and he's scared of throws. And you go down this. And so like the entire time you're fighting someone, if you stay at the trunk, you will never win. You will never get to the point where you can win more than you lose. But if you're always climbing the tree and taking every branch and every path, and a lot of the trees are going to be really similar too. You're going to find the Guile mashers, the Ryu mashers, the Ken mashers, the Luke mashers, and you're going to have a lot of shared ideas between them. But you always start at the character, and then you go down the right character branch, and then from there you have to build your opponent's profile. You are profiling your opponent while you're playing. That is such a great way to put it. I've never said it that way. But that, I'm going to use that from now on. You are literally profiling your opponent by every action they do. They threw in that situation? They jabbed? They jabbed in that situation again? This guy's a masher. I got a frame trap. Like, you're always profiling the opponent, and based on the profile, you're going to figure out what strategy that you should use. Anyways, I went way far off of the Zangief thing, but it was a good conversation. So again, I hope Anim White, if they're still in the chat, doesn't feel like I was like yelling at them or anything. I was just talking about, I was using it as a launching point to really get into that conversation about, learning to adapt and things like that. And I think that's just so important. And it's just one of those things that you have to grasp in fighting games.